As a young chef, Sara Moulton got a dream trip to France to apprentice under a world-renowned chef. But how did the opportunity of a lifetime instantly become a nightmare? Sara Moulton wasn't planning on becoming a chef. She graduated from the University of Michigan with a major in the history of ideas, but food is in her lineage. Her grandmother attended Boston cooking school, and her mother was passionate about sharing cuisines from different countries she visited. Moulton said in her keynote address at the New England Food Service and Lodging Expo, "My mother would go to France and come back, and we'd have big French meals. She'd go to Greece and come back, and we'd have big Greek meals. And because we lived in New York City, we could get the ingredients. I've always said that behind every great chef, there's a mother or aunt or grandmother. There's some great woman."
My mother was a fantastic cook, so I started paying more attention to what she was cooking.
After university, when Moulton was flipping burgers at a local bar, her mother became concerned for her daughter's future. She wrote to the then food editor at the New York Times and asked what to do. He wrote back and said that if Moulton wanted to become a chef, she should attend cooking school. So that's what she did. In 1975, she enrolled at the Culinary Institute of America. In 2022, Moulton posted a photo of herself arm in arm with her late mother on Instagram, writing in tribute, "She's the reason I became a chef. I miss her every day." Chef school was a baptism of fire for Moulton as she faced institutionalized sexism from male students. Moulton later said that was very hard to deal with. She said during her keynote speech, "That's where I first heard, mostly from the other students, that women can't do this. They can't handle the pressure, they can't lift the pots, and they can't stand the heat." But she said it also fueled her to prove herself even more, especially since she found the work so invigorating. She elaborated, "That was catnip to me. I'm a short female and I have an Napoleon complex. If you tell me I can't do it, I will do it. So I worked really hard and I adored it. It was more interesting than anything I ever did." Moulton had the last laugh, graduating with honors, second in the class of over 400 students. A significant moment in Moulton's career came in 1979 when she landed a volunteer gig as Julia Child's assistant on the show Julia Child and More Company, and later on Good Morning America. In the job interview, Child asked Moulton if she styled food, and Moulton, who'd trained as a chef but not a stylist, said yes, boldly claiming that she was very good at it. Moulton worked with Child on that show 3 days a week for 3 months. She wrote in a tribute to Child, "She became a lifelong mentor and friend. I learned so much from Julia." Child facilitated an apprenticeship for Moulton at a Michelin star restaurant in France and later a job in New York. Moulton said, "She was so much fun to work with. She taught me to be a perfectionist, to have more than one job, to never stop learning, and years later, how to smile, which is hands down the only really important thing you need to do on TV." In January 2018, during the height of the MeToo movement, Moulton penned an article for Huffington Post. In the article, she revealed that during the 2-month apprenticeship in France arranged by Julia Child, she was sexually harassed by world-famous chef Maurice Cazalis. Moulton wrote that Cazalis was a lascivious character. When they were in the wine cellar alone, he'd make suggestive comments. He invited Moulton to Paris to visit a famous restaurant there, but on the drive, he tried to make a move on Moulton. He booked one room for them to share, said that he liked to sleep in the nude, and even took her to a strip club. When Moulton told Child about her experience with Cazalis, though, Child dismissed her complaint, saying, "Oh, dearie, what did you expect? They're all like that. Get over it." Faced with institutionalized sexism throughout the restaurant world, Moulton co-founded the New York Women's Culinary Alliance in the early 1980s to support and empower women in the culinary industry. She told Eater, "New York in particular back then was a bastion of male domination in terms of the restaurant industry. We were shut out. When I first went to New York, I had worked in restaurants for 7 years and I couldn't get a job. They wouldn't hire me." The NYWCA provides a platform for women chefs, restaurateurs, food writers, and other culinary professionals to connect, share knowledge, and advocate for gender equality in the industry. Moulton's vision helped the Alliance grow into a respected organization that continues to promote women's achievements and opportunities in the culinary industry today. In 1984, Sara Moulton joined the test kitchen at Gourmet magazine. She assumed the role of executive chef for the magazine's dining room 4 years later, telling foodgal.com, "As the executive chef of the dining room, I cooked meals for the advertisers. We'd wine and dine them. Then we'd hit them up for advertising. It used to work really well. I was making the best food of my life in that dining room. It was a great job." Moulton said Gourmet was a cutting-edge magazine, willing to cover other things no one else was. Unfortunately, though, after 25 years on the job, the changing media landscape led to the magazine's closure in 2009. Moulton's big break came when she joined the Food Network as one of their founding stars in the late 90s. Her show, Cooking Live, and later, Sara's Secrets, brought her widespread recognition and established her as a trusted culinary expert. She told Sever, "I came on board in 1996. You have to remember, none of us had TV experience. We were petrified, nervous wrecks. For my pilot, I cooked fish meuniere and asparagus, and never once smiled. When I held the asparagus up to the camera, it was shaking, but I limped along and got better over time. By 1999, I had 2 live shows on the network." Moulton worked at Food Network for nearly a decade and starred in about 1,500 shows, telling Eater, "I was really a workhorse. A lot of people were discovered on my show because I had guests all the time." But in 2006, Food Network suddenly told Moulton it was over as they shifted gears to focus on cooking competitions instead of instructional shows. It was a hard adjustment for her, who told Eater, "I was devastated. I forgot who I was. When they took the show away, I started seeing a shrink. I had to talk to somebody about it."
They were going to 15 to 35-year-old males, and my audience was more of a female working mom kind of thing.
The release of Moulton's first cookbook, Sara Moulton Cooks at Home, in 2002, marked her entry into the world of cookbook authorship and further solidified her reputation as a culinary authority. Her second book, Sara's Secrets for Weeknight Meals, has 200 recipes of easy meals for the busy home cook. Rachel Ray is a big fan of Moulton and her cookbooks. When she hosted Moulton on her show for the release of Home Cooking 101, Ray teared up. And Moulton's latest book, Sara Moulton's Everyday Family Dinners, maintains the theme of offering fun recipes designed to assist home cooks during mealtime. Moulton told foodgal.com, "The book differs from the others because it has a secret agenda." She said, "In a hidden way, it's also about health. I bulk up the recipes with vegetables. Protein portions are 4 ounces or less. In many recipes, I try to give suggestions for lighter options."
This book would be a great gift for anyone because it will get them cooking every night of the week.
Throughout her long career, Moulton has proved her dedication by staying the course. In May 2024, she revealed on Instagram that she was in Barcelona filming the 13th season of Sara's Weeknight Meals, which will continue to showcase her continued passion for cooking as she shares recipes from around the globe with viewers and fans. Moulton partnered with Emmy Award-winning director Natalie Gustafson to create Sara's Weeknight Meals, which debuted in 2008 just as the financial crisis hit. That delayed the second season for several years, but the show has since become a television staple. Moulton and Gustafson are now both in their 70s, but Moulton told WGBO that the energy of the show still gets them excited. "It keeps our brains going and our creative juices going. Every season I go to Natalie and I say, 'Do you really want to do this again?' And she says, 'Yeah.'" Moulton and music journalist Bill Adler have been married for over 40 years. They have 2 adult children and live in an apartment in New York. She wrote on her blog, "If I were forced to explain what makes my husband and I such a good match, I might just say that I'm a chef who loves music and he's a music business professional who loves to eat. And really, there are very few things that go better together than good food and good music." Adler specializes in hip-hop. In the 80s, he was the publicist for rappers like Run DMC, Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, Public Enemy, and Will Smith, to name a few. He has promoted hip-hop in numerous roles, such as biographer, record label executive, museum consultant, curator, and documentary filmmaker. Moulton told Eater that she digs rap as well. "I love the Beastie Boys, and I like Run DMC, the early stuff. And the feeling is mutual." Ad Rock of Beastie Boys fame mentioned her show Sara's Secrets in the liner notes of Beastie Boys' album To the Five Boroughs. Moulton's involvement in culinary education, including teaching at culinary institutes and advocating for home cooking, has been a significant aspect of her career. One of the key takeaways she learned from the late Julia Child when she worked as her assistant was to never stop learning. Moulton even ended an interview with Sever by saying, "Nobody should ever stop learning, and if they do, they're an idiot." To this end, Moulton has spent most of her life teaching. Her cooking shows, which reach millions of viewers, teach her audience how to cook weeknight meals. As the Culinary Institute of America says, Moulton is teaching through television. As for Moulton herself, she told the Washington Post that she discovered her love of teaching when she was hired as an instructor at Peter Kump's New York Cooking School, which is now known as the Institute of Culinary Education. She explained, "I found out I was truly good at teaching there. When I was young, I used to tutor 2nd and 3rd graders. You know what? Teaching adults is absolutely the same thing as teaching kids. Whether it's through TV, cookbooks, live demos, or social media, Moulton is giving lessons on how to cook. If you visit her Instagram page, most of her reels are her demonstrating different recipes and cooking techniques. She is still sharing culinary knowledge in an accessible and interactive way. The only thing that has changed over the years is the medium she uses to spread the knowledge."
I didn't want to be on TV, but I love teaching.
Milk Street Radio is the podcast spin-off of cooking guru Christopher Kimball's Milk Street television series. Moulton's role on the podcast is to bring her vast culinary expertise and warm personality to listeners. As a renowned chef, cookbook author, and former executive chef of Gourmet magazine, Moulton offers listeners a wealth of culinary knowledge and practical cooking tips. Each episode features discussions about food trends or cooking techniques. One interesting part of the show is when listeners call in with questions about cooking, with Moulton and Kimball offering helpful advice and tips live on the air. The hosts also talk about specific recipes and sometimes have special guests joining in for interviews, such as Jamie Oliver, Nigella Lawson, and many more. Lorne Manley, senior editor of culture at the New York Times, wrote, "Christopher Kimball's interviews with chefs and other experts are reliably illuminating, but the highlight for me comes when he takes listener questions with Sara Moulton. Their banter, complete with gentle trolling, usually from Moulton, helps demystify the challenges faced by the game but green home cook."